from the bad guy. I'ma stare him in the eye like, what's up?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 11 of My Story of My Strength Challenge. I created for my own healing and for anyone else who's searching for a reminder that healing might not be easy, but it's possible. Every day I show up, not as someone who has it all figured out, but as someone who knows what it means to hurt and still rise. I'm sharing the moments I've never thought I'd survive in hopes that it reaches someone who feels like they'd rather end their life. You're not alone. You're not alone. And I'm feeling a little better, you guys. I'm still just a little sick, but not too much. So I'm happy. So again, of course, we're going to start off with our trigger warning. The following episodes includes discussions of suicidal ideation, emotional neglect, abuse, and trauma. Please take care of your mental health. And pause if this content feels way too heavy, because again, it's gonna discuss some things that's gonna probably trigger most of us, because most of us have had these feelings. So today, I want to talk about a story that explains how I actually did struggle with everything I endured during my journey. So a lot of times I tell my story to individuals who know me personally or who's worked with me. And the thing that they say is, I don't even understand how you're still standing. Like, how did you get through this? How did you survive this? I don't really have a direct answer for that, but the thing is I didn't. I did. I tried to take my own life multiple times. But this story, this one I'm sharing today, it's a hard thing for me to talk about, because at one point in my life, I felt that committing suicide was a sign of weakness. But I know now that that's not a sign of weakness. It was me. I was just really broken, and I felt like there was no other way out. It was a mental thing. It wasn't that I was weak. It was just I was so mentally drained, and I couldn't deal with it anymore. And this story also reflects how I knew that my ex and his family, they did not give a damn about me at all. They never cared about me in any way. So this happened about a month after my daughter was born. I was in the hospital for a few days because when she was born with jaundice, and then I got my tubes tied. So I had to stay there in a couple of days. So I had to stay there longer than the normal 12 hours that where we're from, they only let you stay in there for 12 hours and they kick you right out on the streets. But when I got home, there was an eviction notice on my door. And it's like, okay, so because I gave my ex, I'm like, look, this is our rent money. Please. I could not go pay the rent. And it was due that day. And apparently he stole the money and we had to move out. And I was so tired, because by then we had been moving back and forth with his sister. And I really wanted out of this relationship. I don't want to be with him. I did not want to be with him at all. This was kind of the start of, okay, it's time for me to start trying to get away from this man, I didn't know how or when. I just knew at this point I needed to leave him, and I wanted to leave him. But once again, he put me in a position where I needed to live with a sister. And I was like, oh, that was the last time for me. And I already knew what to expect, because she lived in a really small apartment, like a 2-bedroom apartment. It was across the street from where I delivered my daughter. And she knew the landlord. So I was already approved to move into the empty unit next door to her. It was just going to take a couple of weeks because I needed to come up with the rest of the deposit. They needed to clean out the apartment from when the other person that was already in there. And so I had to stay with her for a couple of weeks. And even though I knew it wasn't a couple of weeks, it's going to be like the longest 2 weeks of my life. And during this time I was living with her, everything I hated about her, it just kind of started to come out within the first few hours. Okay, don't start your shit now. Y'all could be out in the streets, and just starting to talk a little mess. And I let her know that we're only going to be here for 2 weeks, but she didn't care. She's already threatening to put us out, and I was done. And my sister, she actually lived a couple of blocks up the street. Like, I could walk to her house with my kids, but I knew if I went down there complaining about what was going on, it would make things worse, because she was going to want to go down there and try to protect me, stand up for me, fight, whatever. So just to stop things from being worse, I just kind of kept it all to myself. But by now, I was so tired of keeping everything to myself. I was tired of keeping the abuse that he was putting me through a secret. I felt like I was just pop, and I didn't know what to do. So I took a bottle of Vicodin that was prescribed to me after I got my tubes tied. I took that bottle and I just took the whole bottle. I swallowed the bottle. It wasn't the first time again that I self-harmed, but you know, it was just like, I gotta end this. I gotta end this. It wasn't the first time I even attempted suicide, but I was done. I was like, I gotta figure out how to make this work. I gotta figure out how to make this work. So before I can even lay down and close my eyes, I remember that he found the bottle. He found the bottle. Like, what happened to the pills? You know, and I'm looking at him, and he was just like, calling me out my name. Did you take these pills? And yelling at me, you so stupid. You trying to kill yourself? And he was like, if you don't die, I'm gonna beat your ass. You know, I'm like, what? You gonna beat my ass if I don't die? And the sister told him, just like, let her lay there. She took them pills, let her lay there. She's not gonna die. Just let her sleep it off. There it was a bottle. It was like 40 Vicodin in that bottle, so I could have died, but they just let me lay there. She was like, she gonna be just fine, but she didn't know what would happen to me. I've been taking I took a lot of those pills, and she didn't know what would happen to me. I don't know how long I slept there, but I remember waking up on the floor in the same spot where I passed out. And I was so drained from the medicine because I woke up, I was like, oh, I'm groggy. And I think a day had gone by. And the only thing he was concerned about was the fact that he couldn't leave the house because his sister refused to keep our kids while I was knocked out. He said, I better be lucky that I didn't die because it would have been really bad. Like, what do you mean it would have been really bad? So I'm thinking that it would have been bad for my kids. Like, okay. But no one called 911. No one tried to move me. No one tried to do anything. They just left me laying there on the floor to die. And I heard him telling my children that, hey, your mama was trying to kill herself because she didn't love you enough to stay here with you. And that was the point. Hearing him tell my children that was the point. I promised I would never, ever try to take my life again. That was my promise to my children, that to let them know that they were worth, no matter what I was going through, that I would fight to give them a better life, no matter what. I wanted them to know that they were loved, and I did love them enough to deal with whatever I had to deal with until I got into a better situation. So for everyone to ask me how, that is my how. My children. I knew if I left them here, I didn't know how they would be raised. I knew that it wouldn't be good. And I never wanted that for them. I never wanted that for them at all. I wanted them to know that I do love them more than anything in this world. And I would fight whatever urges I had to take my life so that they could have at least one good parent that would love them so much. So that was my how. It was because I couldn't let them live with this man. He was horrible, and his sister and his mom, like none of them, they were not any better. So that was my how. So how I felt in that moment. That moment left me drowning in shame, rage. I was pissed. I was so tired, and I felt hopeless. I just felt rage, shame, hopelessness. I believed that I was unworthy of love, unworthy of protection, and completely invisible. I felt like nothing that I did mattered. I felt like I was a burden, and the people around me made sure that I stayed feeling that way. Like they continuously, you can't be just staying in my house. You can't just be doing it, even though it's something that you guys don't know. She would drop her kids off at my house in a minute and leave, stay gone for weeks, days, weeks, or when I was living with her. I basically raised her kids because she would be gone for weeks and weeks and weeks, but I was the burden. I cooked, I cleaned, I did whatever she told me to do for her children, but she continuously made me feel like I was the burden. And I internalized the idea that I wasn't strong enough because I couldn't just get through it. That was, I thought that I was weak. I thought that I was weak for breaking down. I thought that I was weak for trying to kill myself. And I believed that I was failing as a mother, as a woman, as a human being. And that lie almost took me out. That lie almost killed me. So a reflection question to you was, when was the first time you believed your pain made you unworthy of being protected? When was the first time you feel your pain made you unworthy of being protected? And who taught you that silence was safer than being seen? Okay, so those are the questions that I have for you. And then I had to reframe that. So I had a negative mindset. If I speak up or break down, I'll be judged. Because guess what? Why didn't you just leave? That's where those questions come in. Why didn't you just leave? So I felt like I would be judged. I felt like I would be abandoned or attacked. Because at the end of the day, sometimes when I spoke up, I got attacked. I was cussed out, even by my family. My family, we're not perfect. They're the ones that was, why don't you just leave? Or that's your husband and you have to deal with it. I had to deal with that a lot because I grew up from a strong Christian background, and they believe once you're married, you're married. That's it. Nothing. Nothing. The Lord don't believe in divorce, even though that's a lie. If you know, read your Bible, there are circumstances and loopholes that allow you to be divorced, but that's not what they teach. That's not what they taught me. And I felt alone. I felt like I would be attacked. So I had to reframe all of those negative thoughts. Every emotion that I had was valid. That's what my reframing was. Every emotion that I had was valid. Silence is not strength. Silence is not strength. Survival is. I wasn't strong because I was being quiet. I was strong because I was surviving. Reclaim your voice one truth at a time. Write it, speak it, own it. You are not the problem. Okay? You are not the problem. The problem is the world that told you to keep quiet about your wounds. That's what the problem is. The world that is telling you that you need to keep your business in your house. Don't tell anybody that that man is beating on you. Don't tell anybody that that woman is doing this to you. Don't tell anybody that they are doing that. Just keep your business in your house. That's the problem. So an affirmation that I am going to share with you guys is I will never, ever again apologize for surviving. Never. My story is not my shame. It's my source of strength. It's not shame, and I'm not ashamed of it, and neither should you, because it's not shame. It's surviving. You had to do what you had to do to survive. So here's a mini session, a coping skill or a tool. Okay, this is a grounding visualization technique. It's called the safe space. So I want all of you guys to close your eyes and imagine a space that's only yours. It could be the beach, the forest, a locked room with your favorite books, whatever makes you feel safe. And imagine that you are there right now. So in this space, picture yourself standing strong, tall, and powerful. You are strong. You're in this space and you're just standing there. You're strong. You're tall. You're powerful. Now, place a symbol in this space, an object, a light, or a sound that represents your safety and your boundaries. It could be a heart. It could be a song that you like. It could be your favorite color in a bright light illuminating around you. It could be the sound of thunder and lightning. Whatever represents your safety and your boundaries, I want you to place that symbol in this space. Okay? It could be an object, a ball. It could be your cell phone, whatever makes you feel safe, whatever. Just imagine that and put it in your safe. So now anytime you feel unsafe, overwhelmed, or like you're losing control, mentally return to this space. You got to mentally return to this space, okay? Breathe. Anchor into the feeling of this space. So like just take yourself into that space. You got to sit somewhere, breathe, and anchor yourself into the feeling of this space and this strength. Powerful, strong, tall. And always remember that you're able to come back to this space. But you may, just have to believe and you have to do the work. And it's not easy. The first couple of times it's going to be like, what am I doing? But you're going to do this enough and you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it. You're going to feel that face, that breeze, that warm breeze from the beach. You're going to smell the ocean. You're going to feel the sand between your toes. Or you're going to hear those trees rustling around you in the forest or wherever you are. And you're going to go back to that space and you're going to remember that sound, that object, that book, that book, whatever it is that keeps you anchored. And it's going to be a safe space for you. You just have to believe and give yourself time because it's not going to happen the first time. Okay, you're going to have to do the work. Use this once a day, especially in the beginning. Use this once a day, every day. Just sit there and anchor yourself, even when you're not in a crisis. Just to kind of get your mind and your body familiar with this safe space. It helps your body learn what calm feels like. And then you keep doing it and you keep doing it and you keep doing it. And then your body's going to remember that calm. So whenever you are in a crisis, it's going to be easy for you to go to that calm space. Okay. So now we're at the section where we're at our 1 minute empowerment challenge. And this is going to be a really tough one. So today I want you to do something really, really powerful. Okay. I want you to block someone who drains you. Block them. Do not cut this person off. Do not delete their number or account. Block them. Cut them. Well, yes, do cut them off. I'm sorry. But block them. Block them from social media. Any way that they can contact you, block them. Anybody that brings you anxiety, fear, or makes you feel sad or lost or small, block them. You don't need them in your life. Block them, especially if they're not bringing anything positive into your life. Block them. Then say out loud, I do not owe you access to I don't owe access to anyone who abuses my energy. I do not owe access to anyone who abuses my energy, because you do deserve peace. So you need to take it back one block at a time. One block at a time. So take that back. Take that power back. So now we're at our survivor spotlight time. You guys, this is a person that is actually I'm really close with. Her name is Natika Terrell. This person is someone who's known me. She's more like a sister to me. She's been knowing me for over 20 years. She met me when I was at my lowest. I was still with my ex-husband. And when I tell you that this woman is a beast, oh my Lord. And if you ever needed to see the face of resilience, just look at her. That is the face of resilience. Because like me, she grew up in a home that didn't show her the love or protection that she deserved. That void that shaped her early years led into her experiences filled with pain, including years of domestic violence, and yet she still rose. She rose. Natika has, I call her Tika, you guys. So Tika has endured the unimaginable. She's lived not through the loss of not one, but two children. And yet she still finds the strength to smile every day. And if you know her, you know that big old smile that I'm talking about. To show up, and she has the ability to show up and keep going. She's been through some deep battles with mental health, with mental abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual assault, dealing with things, crises within her family, which I won't bring up because those are not my stories to tell. But she dealt with all of those. And instead of letting those battles define her, she became a holistic advocate, sharing her journey raw and unfiltered with grace. She's not afraid to express the hard parts of her life, because if you were her friend on social media, you'll hear her saying, you guys, today is not a bad day, a good day. I'm having a bad day. You know, she shares the setbacks, and she's transparent about how that makes her feel. And that makes people feel seen and less alone, because she's so transparent about, you know, her setbacks. It helps us to feel seen and less alone. She will help anyone. And I mean anyone, no matter what she's dealing with. And that is the definition of love. And now, yay, she's a grandmother. And I cannot even express how proud I am of her. My Tika, sis, I love your life. I'm proud of you. I'm watching you walk into your greatness. And I know you're going to go far. I cannot wait to hold my great nephew. I cannot wait to hold my great nephew and see the beauty that still lies ahead for you. And my niece, Crystal, I see you because you brought him into this world. Keep inspiring us, because we see you. I see you. We love you. I love you. And we are walking this path with you, sis. I was going to say, Tika, sis. I love you, sis. So if this touched you, if this is something that touched you, don't sit with it in silence. Share your truth in the comments. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and remind someone that survival is power. And don't just share, like, subscribe, and keep yourself in the loop to receive all of the inspiration and motivation you can, because that's what this space is for. I will see you tomorrow for day 12. I love you guys, and stay strong. And don't think I forgot to say this. Your story doesn't end in pain. It begins in power. Mwah! I will see you guys tomorrow.
Heard you looking for a hero. Well, look up. No more running from the bad guy. I'ma stare him in the eye like, what's up? I know the journey got hard for a minute, but I ain't giving this up. Yeah, I got the heart of a champion. If I get knocked down, I get